This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, morning Rabbi Glatstein. Bruch Ma'abam to the Kol Igud Perka. Hope everyone had a good Yom Tov.
Yep.
Okay, so Parshas Tazria Metzora, it's a Parsha of Tzaras. And of course we know that if someone has Tzaras, you don't go to the doctor, you go to the Kohen. And the Mishnah tells us in Masechta Negayim, Parak Beis Mishnah Gimel, Kohen Hasuma Bi'achas Me'enav, a Kohen that's blind in one eye, Aisha Kaham Arenav, or his vision is not good in both of his eyes, La Yiras HaNegam, he cannot look at the Negam. He is not authorized to be the doctor to look at the Negam. So either if the Kohen is blind, or if he's hard of seeing. Shenemar, how do I know that? It's because the pasuk says, L'chol marei einei hakohen, to the whole vision of the eyes of the kohen. Right? The pasuk says in Tazria, Parak Yud Gimel, pasuk Yud Beis, V'im parayach tifrach hatzaras ba'ar, v'chisasa hatzaras is kol or hanega, me'rashav yad raglav, l'chol marei einei hakohen. Okay. Tosfos Yom Tov points out that what does the Mishnah mean when it says that the kohen's eyesight has dimmed? It doesn't mean he has dim eyesight in one eye. It has to mean he has dim eyesight in two eyes. Right? But if he has dim eyesight in one eye, then he is still authorized. In other words, the blindness is even in one eye. If the kohen is blind in one eye, he's no good. Or the hard of seeing is in both eyes. But if he's only hard of seeing in one eye, he's good. He's good to go. Okay? Very nice. So, the topic we want to discuss this morning is a good topic for Jews. And that is what the kohen is an Amaretz?
Yes.
He has to know the Halacha, otherwise, So
when there is a Talmid Chacham next to him?
Right.
No, he has to know,
Doesn't he bring a Chacham with him?
If necessary, he should know on his own. But in any event, what we're going to talk about today is the halachas of mishkafayim, or halacha. Most Jews wear glasses.
Fine.
Especially Zakenim, Chachamim, and my grandfather should live and be well. He's in his 90s. He still doesn't wear glasses. But, a lot of Jews wear glasses, My kids are ready. They're wearing glasses. They're not even bar mitzvah yet. They're already wearing glasses. Right? So now the question is, in halacha, does halacha recognize seeing something through glasses as seeing? Is that called seeing? Can't see a thing. You take, oh my God, I can't see anything. So is seeing through glasses considered seeing? For example, let's say the kohen, he looks at the nega, but he can't really see it unless he wears glasses. If he takes off his glasses, he doesn't know if it's white or a polka dot. He doesn't know, he can't see anything. So is seeing with glasses considered seeing? So this is a question that's discussed by the Tfaras Yisrael. Tfaras Rabbi Yisrael Lifshitz, one of the classic commentaries on the Mishnayos. First, he brings down that we learn out both halachos, both if a kohen is a suma in one of his eyes, or if he's hard of sight in both of his eyes, we learn that out from the pasuk l'chol marei einei hakohen. From einei, that implies, he says like this. He says, venerally on the second line, the hakra, the l'chol marei einei hakohen, the ma'isi tana, this pasuk of l'chol marei einei hakohen that the Tana brings, hainu kedei lemelaf tarvayo, teaches me both halachos. Dina de suma, the din that if he's blind in one eye, he's out. Udaka mehachra, and also if he's hard of seeing. Dimi dechsev einei, the fact that it says eyes, mashma sheyesha kapanim b'chol echad me'einav k'tzasriya. That means each one of the eyes at least could see something. Otherwise, it's not called an eye. And the fact that it says l'chol, that implies that at least in all of his eyes, he has, he's not hard of seeing in both eyes. Okay. Well, if comes out, hayonira, the kohen zaken she'enav choshem, an old kohen. You have an alta kohen. He's 174, and he's has weak eyes. Ve'eno yachal liros yafeh, and he can't see well. Raka de al shashis, only through glass. Shakairin brilla. What's brilla? Braille, right? Glasses. V'rak al yada yira yafa, and only through his glasses he could see well. It's a raya from here. Rashoy lirois hanega. He could look at a nega. What's the raya? Why could a kohen who wears glasses look at him. After all, that's not called seeing. That's called seeing. He can't see a thing if he takes off his glasses. He wasn't born with the glasses, right? He didn't when he was born. His mother didn't see glasses on his face. So why is that called seeing? Says the Tzfaras Yisrael. He brings a raya from the Gemara. Let's take a look at this Gemara number 5. It's the Gemara in Bracha is Chaf Hey Amid Beis. Yeah, Amar Rava. Soya ba'ashashis mutter likras kriyashma kenegda. You hear that? You have a specimen standing on the bima in a glass case. You have tsoya. Why you have tsoya there? Beats me. But you have tsoya in the ashashis. So, are you allowed to say kriyashma opposite it? Yeah. Right? Mutter likras kriyashma kenegda. You're allowed to say kriyashma. Erva ba'ashashis, but you have an erva in glass. Like a television, right? Also, look, you have an erva, right? You have something which is immodest, a modest woman, and then you have a glass separation, right? Also, likros kriyashma kenegda. You can't say kriyashma. What's the difference? Why tsoya? Yes, erva no. Tsoya ba'ashashis mutter. Tsoya excrement behind glasses mutter. Why mutter likros kriyashma kenegda? The tsoya bekisa talia milsa. The issur of saying a davar shev kedusha in the presence of excrement is dependent on it being covered, right? So is the tsoya covered? Yeah, it's covered. V'hamichsa. But when it comes to arayis, it's not a din of being covered. It has to be not apparent. Erva ba'ashashis aser. If you have an erva behind glass, it's aser likros kriyashma kenegda. Why? V'la yira b'cha ervas davar amar Rachmana. The Torah says, don't see it. And you could see it. So listen to what's happening. You have an erva, you have glass, and says the Gemara, could you say Shema? No. Why can't you say Shema? Because you could see the erva. What do you mean you could see the erva? That's not called seeing. I thought seeing through glass is not called seeing. So we see from the Gemara in Brachos that even though there's a separation between your physical eyes and the item that you're looking at, that is still halachically considered seeing. What do you mean? But there's glass in between. No. The fact that your eyes are seeing through a prism does not change the vision. It's considered re'iyah and halacha. So therefore says it's first. Let's back at number 4. Harei Amru, the Gemara tells us in Brachos, erva ba'ashashis, asar likros kriyashma kenegda. An erva behind glass, you can't say kriyashma. Why? T'chsiv la yira b'cha erva, v'ha mischazia. Alma, we see from here, deriya al yedei ashashis, Shmariya. We see that seeing through glass is considered seeing. Lahavdil.
This case is different. What if the glass distorts what you're looking at?
So you say, what's the raya? Right? He's asking a good kasha. What's the raya? If you have glass, so the glass is not changing at all what you're looking at. It's not improving what you're looking at. You could see it without the glass, the same way you could see it with the glass. So therefore, maybe if you see an erva through glass, that's called seeing. But if you can't see, if a guy is blind like a bat without his glasses, right? He would be arrested if he'd be driving a car without his glasses. And now he puts it on, and all of a sudden, Good Morning America, he sees everything. So maybe that's not called seeing. So the raya that Tzaras Yisrael is bringing is not such a clear proof. Right? It used to be what?
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Anyone here a pilot? Pilot? Anyone here a pilot? Right? It used to be in the Navy. The rule in the Navy was if you want to fly a jet, you have to have 20/20 vision without glasses. Why? Because the Navy paskin not like the Tzaras Yisrael. Seeing through glasses, that's not seeing. That's not seeing. That's not called vision. Okay.
Also, if something happens to the glasses.
But later, after they saw the Tzaras Yisrael, they changed the psak. Nowadays, if you have 20/30 without glasses, and with glasses you're 20/20, then you could fly. Okay.
What is the pasuk from the Torah about the tzad that you're allowed to if it's mechase?
It says v'chisisa teyasecha, right? V'haya machanecha kadosh. It can't be in your machane, so now it's covered, so it's not my machane. Okay, so very interesting. So Tzaras Yisrael would like to suggest that since erva ba'ashashis is erva because it's considered seeing, so the kohen who sees the mara with glasses, that's considered seeing. On the other hand, we have a Gemara in Rosh Hashanah that says like this. We know if Edom come in and they want us to testify about seeing the new moon, so they come, we saw the moon like this, we saw the moon like that. What if they say, we saw the moon out the window? Is that considered seeing? Could they testify? So the Gemara says in Masechta Rosh Hashanah, look at number 7. Tan Rabbanan, Ri'inuhu b'mayim. The Edom say, we saw the moon in the water. Ri'inuhu ba'ashashis. We saw it through the glass.
That's a reflection in the water. It's not seen.
So I'm reading it very literally. That Ri'inuhu ba'ashashis. Okay, you're saying good, but we're going to read it literally for now. That we saw it through glass. Ri'inuhu ba'avim. If you saw it through the clouds, ein me'idin olav. You can't testify. Why not? Why can't you testify if you see it through glass? It must be seeing through glass is not considered seeing. So maybe by the same token, if a kohen sees the nega through his glass, that's not considered seeing. I'll tell you a very interesting shaila. You ready? You have a guy, he's making Havdalah, and he's making the Havdalah over the Sefer Torah. Why? I don't know. He's Chacham from the Manishtana. And all of a sudden the candle drips, and it drips on the Sefer Torah. No problem. It's clear wax, so you could see the ice. Is it a kosher Sefer Torah, or is it a pasul Sefer Torah? Or like this, right? You know, 80% of Jews have glasses, right? 99% of Bali Kriya have glasses, right? Are they allowed to learn from Torah through glasses? That's not called seeing.
I need the bread.
What?
I need the bread.
You need the bread. All right. So, what's the halacha? Could you read a Sefer Torah through glasses?
What about to make Havdalah? If you're allowed to do it through the glasses.
I can read without it.
Could a kain duchen?
Of course. I've done it with it.
I have a question. Let's say you want to learn from the Sefer Torah. You're going to hold the Sefer Torah up to the light, and you're going to read it like when the guy. Some people if someone touches mail on Shabbos, you ever see? They're holding up the mail to the light. They want to know what's inside. So what? Right. He doesn't realize that he hasn't gotten a check in 10 years. It's always bills, and he's holding up the Sefer Torah to the light. Could he read the Sefer Torah through the other end? No, that's not called reading. So how about reading through the wax or reading through glasses?
Are you allowed to make Kiddush Levana from your house if it's freezing outside?
Or Kiddush Levana?
On the roof? No.
Okay, that might be different.
On
that
the
might
roof
be, you can't be inside.
You're not.
No, what about Havdalah? If you can do Havdalah with the glasses.
Okay, we're going to talk about that also.
It's freezing outside and you went
We'll talk about that. How about Havdalah candle, putting the Havdalah candle in a glass encasement? Yeah?
I know I'm wrong in the posting. The women come to him for needle shining.
Yeah.
I think women came to him, they're not sleeves or wearing pants or something like that. So he decided, from now on, when they come, he says, take his glasses off.
That's because he can't see.
No, to look at the women, or to look at it. Not for the needle.
He doesn't want to see the women.
He can look at the thing, but instead of seeing her, he takes his glasses off. So he doesn't see her too well.
Okay. Now, very interesting in the Shas Chuvas Hilchos Ketanos from the Mari Chagiz, he talks about the following question: Shaila im nafla tipas shaiva al oisias Sefer Torah. If a drop of wax falls on the letters of the Sefer Torah, v'nirin ha'oisios, but you could read the ice through the wax.
What's the problem?
Is that called re'iyah? That's not called re'iyah.
No, but you see the oath, clearly.
But there's a chatzitza. Maybe in halacha it's only re'iyah if.
So you said the glasses also is chatzitza.
V'oid, another shaila. Im mutter likros b'sefer Torah b'batei einayim. Could you read a sefer Torah with glasses? Says the Mari Chagiz. Shuva raya gemurahi. There's a clear proof al yedei zechuches that through glass, because it says in brachos the erva ba'ashashis asar likros kriya shema kenegna. If you have an erva in glass, you can't say kriya shema mishum lo yira, because the Torah says don't see it and you could see it. So we have a raya through glass, it's considered riyah. So therefore, if you see the ice of the Sefer Torah through wax, or if you see the Sefer Torah through glasses, is it good? It's good. That's considered riyah. So the Mari Chagiz paskins halach lamaisa. If you're a Baal Koirei, you could still keep your job if you have glasses or if you have contact lenses, right? And we'll have to see. The Havamin is maybe that's not considered Riyah. It's not Riyah. No, the same way if you...
Help the eyes.
Halachically, it might not be.
That may
Why
be
not
not.
be? Why?
Because it's a chatzitza. It's a chatzitza. That's not called seeing.
Maybe one is glass.
I have a question for you. What's the halacha if somebody wrote a Sefer Torah so small you need a microscope to see it? Is that considered kriya? Of course, no. It's not. Halacha l'maisa, it's not.
There's laws about size.
It's not. No. Right? So, the technology, just because it works, it doesn't mean it's halachically recognized. Maybe you need glasses.
How about put a magnifying glass on the Sefer Torah?
That's the same shaila. That's the same shaila. That's the same shaila. That's the same shaila. So the Marichag is saying it would be good. Okay, good. So still, Rabbi Say, we still could ask a very strong question, and that is just because you're allowed to look at something and it's considered halachic seeing through a glass, like an erva through a glass, that may be because the glass is not changing or enhancing the appearance. But let's say somebody really cannot see without glasses, a kohen who can't see without glasses, why should he be allowed to look at saras with glasses? The glasses are what allows him to see. He can't see otherwise. What's the proof? What's the proof from...
Somebody with good vision, is he allowed to put on glasses that will distort it and read?
Okay, so someone with good vision, so you could say like this. He could see anyway without the glasses. So the glasses are not really enhancing his ability to see.
Is he allowed to use those glasses?
Not really. It's called kol she'roi labila ein bila ma'akeves v'ay. In other words, since he could do it, he could see it, so it would be considered seeing even with the glasses. But someone who can't see, now I want to talk about a very interesting question, just as a little side point, Rabbi Say, and that is, we know when it comes to the laws of Sefer Torah, what would the halacha be if somebody said, you know what, I'm not a good writer, but I'm a good eraser. So I'm going to sprinkle ink on the Sefer Torah, and then I'm going to carve out around the letters. Instead of writing the letters, I'm going to carve out the inside of the tuf and around the tuf, because I can't write, but I know how to erase. So I'm going to write indirectly. That's called chayk tuchais. You're going to cut out, you're going to engrave out the middle. Is that kosher? The halacha is not kosher. So look at the Magen Avram and Siman Lamed Beis. Magen Avram says at the end that if ink falls, what if you don't do that, but ink, you wrote a beis, and ink falls into the beis, and now you want to scrape out the ink that fell in the middle of the beis, says the Magen Avram, you can't do that, you can't erase it. Right? But v'nira li, de'imnat of shaiva, what if wax fell on an ice? Now, right now, the wax fell. Now we're talking about not clear wax. We're talking about black wax. You can't read a thing. And now you want to scrape off the wax. So I might say you can't do that. You have to write the whole letter again. Because by scraping out off the wax, you're writing indirectly. You're uncovering a letter. That's not called...
Before. It was written before.
Okay, so good. So the Magen Avram ultimately says, like you're saying, that's not called indirect writing. It was written properly. It just, there's something in the way, and you're removing the impediment. But the argument that you could make is, maybe that's also called writing indirectly, because you're not, at the time you're making it kosher, you're not writing the ice, you're merely indirectly causing the ice to be seen. You would think maybe that's not good. And the Magen Avram saying, yes, it is good. And in fact, Rabbi Kiva Eger in a tshuva, in Madura, why is it good?
In what instance are we talking about?
If ink falls in the middle of a letter, and then you want to scrape out the ink, so in that case, even though you could say, what do you mean, it was written originally good, but now the ink made it that it was written no good, and now it doesn't help to carve out the middle. But if wax falls...
Can you take out the whole letter and start over again for that letter?
Yeah, but let's say you don't want to do that. Yeah. You could erase the whole thing. But now the question is, could you just erase the wax, scrape off the wax? Is that considered indirect writing? And the Magen Avram says, no, that is perfectly okay. And Rabbi Kiva Eger also concurs with that. But the problem Rabbi Kiva Eger is talking about is, what if the wax falls on a letter on Shabbos? You hear a guy, some meshugana drips wax on the Sefer Torah on Shabbos, and you can't read a noise. So now we would say, let's scrape it off. So could you scrape it off? So on Shabbos. On Shabbos.
You also say after the package, no?
What? Why? Good.
Because
good.
Before you couldn't use it.
Good, very good.
Now you can use it.
Very good.
Take a second,
The tucking kli.
Is that the reason not to have a package?
So first, the Rabbi Kiva Eger quotes the Magen Avram in the top paragraph that while the wax is on it, it's no good. But by the Reb Kiva Eger agrees with the Magen Avraham that if you scrape it off, it's not a problem of chayk tuchais because you're not considered writing it indirectly. He says, "Kivan de'eno oisa achshav ma'isa aksiva." You're not writing it now. Rak mesalek hashayva. You're just removing the wax. Umamela maskayim ice, and mamela the ice appears. And Reb Kiva Eger agrees with that. However, on Shabbos, on Shabbos you can't do it. Why?
Where are you? What?
I'm in Rabbi Kiva number 10. I'm in the paragraph. He quotes the Shvus Yaakov, and the Shvus Yaakov seems to say that the reason why you can't scrape it off on Shabbos is it's moichek, it's erasing. So Rabbi Kiva Eger says no, it's not erasing. It's not erasing because nothing's written. The wax is not something written. You're just removing it. That's not called erasing. But says Rabbi Kiva Eger in the last paragraph in number 10, V'linera da'aser mitam acher. There's another reason why you can't scrape off the wax. Like Reb Stephen said, Kivan dal yedei hashayva, you couldn't use the Sefer Torah, right? While the wax is on it, you couldn't use the Sefer Torah.
A clear wax?
No, you can't read it. I'm talking about where you can't read it.
When did the wax?
But if it's clear, you can. So it's not.
So then if it's clear, then we have the Hilchos Katanos who says that's considered Riyah. Right? But now it's not clear, so now you can't read it. So now you want to scrape it off. So says Rabbi Kiva Eger, since the Sefer Torah could not be used while the wax was on it, and you're making it kosher by removing it, have a matakin mana. That's tikkun mana. It's a makabapata. You're making the kli usable. You're rendering it fit for use, and this is like putting tzitzis on a beged, which is tikkun mana. Okay.
Sorting things out. Can't do that on Shabbos, right?
Well, you no, that's when you have a mixture.
Taking the bad for the good.
No, that's when you have a mixture. Is this a mixture? You have something covering something. So they're not mixed together. It's merely blocking you from getting to the good.
The wax is bad in this case, and you can't separate them.
I hear, but I don't know if that's considered a boirer. That's not a taruvais.
Well, when did the wax itself?
Okay, you have to be careful, right? That would be moichek. Then that could be a moichek. But you have a special wax eraser that doesn't. What?
When did the wax fall? Before you read the pasuk or after you read?
Before you read the pasuk.
What about if?
And even if it fell after, the Sefer Torah is not kosher.
If you already read the pasuk,
no.
You don't need to read it.
But the Sefer Torah is not kosher because there are letters that are not visible. The whole Sefer Torah is possible, right?
But the letter is there.
I heard this halacha before and I had a question that I didn't answer to. According to Rabbi Kiva Eger, you're makabapatish if you fix that.
Correct.
Right. So on Sukkot, a sukkah is not kosher with a cover on it, and yet on Shabbos you're allowed to remove the cover and make it a kosher sukkah.
If it's tefach, open tefach.
I hear. So I have like 8 months to answer that question, right? I have 8 months to answer that one.
No, but if it's open and tefach, then it's not an oil.
Okay. Rabbi say. So now, Rabbi say, let's see a little further. Another shaila. Ready? Another shaila. You'll tell me this shaila. It could take a whole lifetime to come up lemaisa. Yeah. Somebody nebach lo yaleinu, he passes away without any children, and the wife has to either do yibum or chalitza. So she goes to the bezdin, and what does she do? Everyone thinks she spits in the guy's face. No, she doesn't spit in his face. She spits on the floor in front of the einei dayanim. Now, who are these dayanim? Some guy who come out of yeshiva, he's 15 years old, he didn't go to the eye doctor yet. They're 70, 80 years old, right? They have these big thick glasses with 3 bifocals, right? And they can't see anything without the glasses. Is that considered la'einei hachachamim? That's the question of the Shvus Yaakov. Shvus Yaakov wants to know, like Aleph, Siman Kuf Chavav, L'fima de'isa be'hilchos chalitza, Sif Aleph, shetzrichim lizar b'dayanim. The dayanim who see chalitza, they have to be careful. Shlo yusumin, they're not to be blind. Afilu ba'achas meinam. The shoyesh makaru mishas. The source is from Shas because it says in the Gemara Yevamis v'yarka le'einei hazakenim. Imutter liyos echa min adayonim she'en of chaos. V'la yuchal liros and loya de bate enayim shekar melashnasanaz braille. Could the dayanim who are presiding over a chalitza case, are they allowed to be wearing glasses? Or maybe halachically that's not considered la'inei hazakanim. Kivan she'eni cholam leros elay de bate enayim. So that's the question of the Shvus Yaakov. Could the dayanim who are presiding over a chalitza case, could they be wearing glasses? So he starts off saying like this: no, they can't wear glasses. Right? And there was no LASIK surgery then, right? So he starts off saying, L'chayra hayanira shagam bezet tzrichin lizayar. It would seem you have to be careful. You know what the proof is? From the fact that the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, Tan Rabbanan, Ra'inu b'mayim, we saw it in the water, Ra'inu ba'ashashis, we saw it in the glass, Ein meyidin olav. You can't testify. And that is why that's why it says in the Tshuva Dvar Shmos and Reish Mabez, Deharaya halavana mitoichas baklaria oy marshal zechuchas ein lavarch berachas halavana. If you see the moon through a glass or through a prism, you can't make berachas halavana. So starts the Shvus Yaakov, 2 lines from the bottom of the page. He says, La'achar ha'iyun, the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah is not a raya. First of all, you could say that by Eidos for Kiddush HaChodesh, we're very exacting, and we have to be very precise. After all, it's not good enough to see it. We require Drisha v'Chakira. We thoroughly investigate and question the Eidim. So perhaps, since we're so machmer for Kiddush HaChodesh, because why of all the Baitusim and the Tzedaikim who play monkey business, so maybe seeing it through glass is no good. And then he says, B'chlal, the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah has nothing to do with this. Why not? Well, you say earlier, right? Because when it says you saw it in an ashashis, it doesn't mean you saw it through a glass. It means, how do you see it in the water? You're standing in the bottom of the ocean and you're looking up at the lake? No. You saw the reflection. So when it says you saw it in Ashashis, it means you saw the reflection. Of course, seeing the reflection, that's not considered seeing. But if you see it through glass, of course it's considered seeing. Now look what he says about 14 lines down. See? First word on the line is ba'oivei. A clear proof that this is seeing. From many Gemaras and Shas. You ready? Raya number 1. Yeah. Yeshaya Hanavi was a Navi, right? Everyone agrees he was a Navi? How did he see his Nevuah? Aspaklaria? She'enami, right? Through a prism that wasn't clear. Was that Nevuah or was that not Nevuah? Was it Nevuah? Of course it's Nevuah. Even though the glass was cloudy. That's considered Riyah. That's Nevuah. So certainly if it's Aspaklaria Hamira, like Moshe Rabbeinu, or a clear prism, that's real. So you would think that for it to be Nevuah, that has to be absolutely clear.
No, I don't think that. It's a separate Indian between the Rosh Hashanah and the Navi. It's a different type of seeing.
But Yeshaya says, Va'era, I saw. Va'era Maris Hashem. How could he say he saw? Very interesting proof. Very interesting proof. Then he says another proof. The first one on the line is Raya. V'cheinu b'soita. The Gemara in Soita says, right? We just had Shvi Shal Pesach. We know it says by Shvi Shal Pesach, Afilu ubaroi shabemei iman oimrim shira. Right? Even the babies in utero, they sang Shira Alayam. The Gemara in Soita, Daf Lamed Aleph. Frak the Gemara says, V'haloi kachazi. What do you mean? They didn't see it. They didn't see the Shira. Amar Rabbi Tanchum, Keres Nasa Lahem Kas Baklaria Hamira. Their mother's womb became transparent like a clear prism. So the Gemara asked, they didn't see. And what's the answer? They did see. How? It doesn't say the stomach opened up. It says it became clear like a prism. So that's considered real.
But when a baby is born, he doesn't see clearly. So how can you...
Well, I mean, when he's born, he sees. When he's in utero, the eyes are closed. But apparently the Gemara feels that Aspaklaria Hamira is Riyah. Umisugyad Zu de Bracha is... 1 second, excuse me. And then he advances the raya that the Hilchos Ketanos brought and that the Tfaras Yisrael brought. Erva ba'ashashis asar likros kriya shema kenegda. Why? V'lo yira b'cha erva stavar am rachmano b'ha kamas chazia. Fine. Umisugya zu de bracha is hevi gam ken b'tshuvas Hilchos Ketanos. This Gemara in Brachos is cited by the Hilchos Ketanos, and from there he proves the mutter likros b'sefer Torah yidei batei einayim. From here we have a proof that if you're a Baal Koirei, you could read from the Sefer Torah wearing glasses, shekarin b'lashon Ashkenaz braille, udvarim lechaynim, and it's clear. You could ask the question that we asked earlier, and that is what? Just because Erva Ba'ashashis is considered Riyah, that's because it's clear. It doesn't distort the image. But if somebody cannot see without glasses and he needs the glasses to see, maybe that's not considered seeing, right? Remember we asked that question. Yes. There's a clear distinction. What's the raya from the Gemara Brachos? If you have a glass with an Erva behind it, maybe that's considered seeing because the glass is not changing the image. But if a person cannot see without glasses and he needs the glasses to see, maybe seeing only through the crutch of the glasses, that's not considered seeing. He says, even though even though, right, you could argue and you could differentiate and distinguish even though somebody who could see without glasses, so someone who could see without glasses, so even though he's looking through the glasses, why? There's a famous principle that if you could do the job without the assistance of something, then the assistance of something does not prevent you from fulfilling what you need to. But if you have an old guy, he's legally blind, right? You hear a guy, he's legally blind. He cannot see a thing without the glasses. Can't see. So what's the proof? Right? It's a very good kasha. Right? It was kedai to wear a nice suit just to be able to ask that kasha, right? That's it. You're machavin to the Shvus Yaakov's kasha. So does he have a good answer?
Good.
No, he doesn't have a good answer. But listen to what he says. You know what the proof that you could be a Balkari with glasses? Go see what people are doing. Everyone's wearing glasses. Nobody ever spoke up. No Gadol B'Yisrael ever spoke up against Balei Kriya. They can't wear glasses. All the Balei Kriya, they're all wearing glasses over Fratis L'Inyan Sheila. Okay. Shanisha Kadmana, specifically regarding the Chalitza. You want to say, sometimes you'll hear a kid, he's 14 years old, he's a great Baal Koreh, but he doesn't know the first thing about Chalitza. I mean, if you ever went to a Chalitza Bezdin, they're not getting these young whippersnappers. You're getting, seasoned Chachamim, who, they've already exercised their eyes. They're sitting for 50 years, that they can't see anything, basically. And it says, especially in that case, Soimchen ala mikra d'chsiv la'enei hazakenim. It says by chalitza it has to be la'enei hazakenim k'midrashay ch'mashmai sharoiv balei hara. This is amazing. Shvus Yaakov writes, most poskim hema chachamim uzakenim mamish. They're mamish old people. Hayoshim eitzal chalitza, and most of them are wearing glasses. So even in the 1700s, most of the chachamim of the bezdin, they're wearing glasses. Okay. Not like, and then he adds in, not like nowadays where you have these kids that don't know anything and they think they're already poskim. Hashem will pay them back. I never heard anybody say to a zaken, you know what? You got to get LASIK surgery if you want to be a dayan. No, we never heard such a thing. And therefore, halacha l'maisa about kriya and a dayan can wear glasses. Why? What's the proof? The proof is nobody ever said anything to them.
Majority of people do it.
So I heard a story once about a person who had a lane and he couldn't lane for his life.
Yeah.
He took cellophane and put it in front of the sefer and marked all the trucks on the cellophane, and he was able to lane, and they passed him. It's okay.
I'm sure people spoke up about that one, right? Okay, so that's a very interesting. That's a very interesting inyan. Now, Rabbi Sai, there is one area in Halacha though
seems to me that
כן.
קראתי שלא אמרתי את זה.
אתה יודע, בועז, איך אני יש שאתה עושה ככה, אתה עושה את זה?
if the Rav who
פרופשיונל, אני אוהב לראות אותך.
one who says that glasses are no good, he's probably not wearing glasses.
No, we would hope. No, we would hope that we got to give them the benefit of the doubt that their halachic decisions are objective. Rabbi said there's one Indian in halacha where even though glasses, we said there is no real Metzora where seeing something through glasses is not considered seeing, but there is an area where a glass partition would not be considered seeing. Where if you see something through glass, that's not considered seeing. And that is for Havdalah. If the fire of the Havdalah candle is in a glass, the Bir Halacha, Chavetz Chaim, writes in Bir Halacha, it's not considered seeing. Why? Listen to this. Not because it's not considered seeing, turn over the page, but rather because, on the third line, Bir Halacha writes, why do we make Havdalah on a candle on Matzah Shabbos?
שנברא אש.
Ash was invented. The first human invention was fire. Who invented the fire? Adam HaRishon took 2 stones, he rubbed it together, he produced fire. Was that fire covered or uncovered? Uncovered. Says the Chafetz Chaim, if you're going to put your fire in a glass case, it's not similar to the fire of Adam HaRishon, you're not Yotzei Matzah Shabbos for Havdalah.
I see a lot of people take the glasses off.
Avalani is daiti yesh latare, it's Pirish Rashi. De'eno kasha me'erva. There's no kasha from an erva lakan. Even though by erva we say a glass partition is seeing, but by Havdalah a glass partition is a problem. Din yanenu le'inyan berchas bar Maria Eish etiknu chazal levarich al brias ha'ar. Chazal were masakin to make this bracha over the creation of fire. Laitiknu ela kishahar hu galoi beloy kisoy. It only works if the fire is uncovered. Veloy tamun. Ukeikar briyasei, the way it was created, shehu begaloi. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. If you want to use a light bulb to light Ner Shabbos, let's say someone's in the hospital, could you turn on the light bulb to light Ner Shabbos? Absolutely yes. You could even make a bracha.
Yeah.
It's a fire. Eish is a fire, right?
But not
the Chaim Oizer says, Eish is mamish a fire. You could turn on the light and make a bracha. So could you do the same thing for Havdalah? No, you know why? Because it is fire, but it's a covered fire. It's a covered fire. And a covered fire, it's not that it's not a fire, it's not similar to the fire of Adam HaRishon. So Rabbi Vadi Yosef, it's quoted in the Yalkut Yosef, listen to this, in Siman Chatzer, Reish Tzadiches, in the paragraph Vira'isi. So Rabbi Yosef says, I don't understand. Why we're being such a stickler to be similar to the fire of Adam HaRishon? So why isn't there halacha that for Matzah Shabbos you can only make Havdalah, you have to take 2 stones together and rub it together, like Adam HaRishon? Yeah? Maybe you should invite a snake to your house also, right? So, says Rav Avadia, V'reisi Misha Hikshal Divrei Mishnah Berurah. I saw some people ask on the Mishnah Berurah, Diminayin lanu laimar shebeberchas bar mari eish tzarich shiyah ha'ar galev lo'itamen. Where do we get this from? It has to be uncovered. If it's because we want it to be similar to the way it was created, then you should sit there for 5 hours rubbing the stones together. Or, at least the fire that was created on Matzah Shabbos, says Ravai, this is not a kasha. We don't care where you got the fire from, we just care what the fire looks like. Yep. So he says, we don't care what produces the fire. And when it was lit, even though Rabbi Isai, he quotes, listen to Rabbi Vadia quotes, he quotes all the Lifrish stories. He says, even though if you look in the Shas Chuvas Nachla Shimoin, Reb Chaim Brisker would make a bracha on Matzah Shabbos on an electric fire. You hear this? Reb Chaim Brisker made a bracha on Matzah Shabbos on Or Chashmal. And Reb Avram Naimark in the Sefer Eish Avram, he personally testified. Then the house of Reb Chaim Oizer, he would make a bracha on Matzah Shabbos on electricity. Says Rabbi Vadia, you know what? They disagreed with the Mishnah Berurah, especially Reb Chaim Ozer. Reb Chaim Ozer wanted to display and proclaim to the world that electricity is fire. So he purposely went out of his way to make Bar Meish on electricity. But, Ein Lanu Ela Divrei Mishnah Berurah, like the Chazonish says, whatever the Mishnah Berurah says is like the Shechina emanating from the Lishkas Hagazos. He's the Paisik Achroin. So the Mishnah Berurah says you can't do it. Says Rabbi Vadia, you can't use electricity in Motzei Shabbos. That's how we paskin. That's how we paskin. Motzei Shabbos.
Isn't it about Shashas anyway? But the whole halacha is that you have to look at the avuka with the fingers, no? Oh. That's halacha.
No, you have to be nene. You have to look at the fire. If you just look at the fingernails and you don't look at the fire, it's not the mitzvah. The mitzvah is to look at the fire and then to be nene from the fire. How do you nene from the fire? By being mavchin, being the basar and the tziparan. But you have to look at the fire also.
Incandescent, only has to be incandescent, and it has to be a clear bulb. Fluorescent is not.
What, for Friday night, you mean?
No, Motzei Shabbos.
No, Motzei Shabbos you can use electricity. Cannot use it.
Fluorescent is not electricity.
Fluorescent, you definitely can't use fluorescent.
Right, it has to be incandescent.
No, even incandescent, we're saying you can't use. Why?
You could use.
No, for Motzei Shabbos, we're saying you can't.
So.
No, so we're saying that.
Ozer said incandescent is good.
Correct, but the Mishnah Berurah says you can't use electricity. Why? Well, let's just get what's the why. Not because there's a chatzitza, but because the fire is covered. And a covered fire is not similar to the fire of Adam Arisha.
So if you're wearing your glasses and you do Havdalah?
The fire is similar.
The Mishnah Berurah, he was the last person who had to follow. So how come there are...
That's what I said. Rabbi Vadia, though, says he sides... I said that. But Rabbi Vadia sides with the Mishnah Berurah. Rabbi Vadia sides with the Mishnah Berurah. Okay.
So what about
one last thing, Rabbi say?
So you cannot do Havdalah?
So with an electric bulb, you shouldn't use for Havdalah. But glasses is not a problem. Absolutely, don't make up chumras. You can't use glass. People, all of a sudden, they take off their glasses. Okay. Whether it's like some kind of heavy ruach hakodesh. What? You can. You could use glasses because the fire is the goloi. It just there's no din. Your eyes can't be taman. Okay, fine. One last halach about glasses.
The fire when it's enclosed in this glass case. On the other side of the glass case, the fire is begoli. Where do you measure?
Okay, what do you mean? Because on the bottom, it's covered. It's covered. That's called covered.
It's covered. There's 3 inches between the fire and the glass. For those 3 inches, it's uncovered.
Is it? Well, would you call it covered or not? I think you'd call it covered, right? It's a covered fire. Okay. One last halacha, very interesting halacha, and that is there's another kind of glasses that don't come out. Contact lenses, right? So, shaila, whether it's contact lenses is a chatzitza for a tefillah. Tefillah, a woman goes to the mikvah, and is she required to take out her contact lenses? So the question is, are contact lenses, we know b'chlal, are you allowed to close your eyes in the mikvah?
No.
Yeah, you could close your eyes in the mikvah, but you can't squeeze them, right? You could close them because since the water could get in, even though it's you could close them loosely because since the water could get in, kol sheroy labila in bila ma'kevesvay. But the question is, contact lenses, are they considered on very tight where the water can't get in, or is it loose that water could get in? Unclear. So Rav O'Connor in the Badei Shulchan, he writes like this: V'isha sheish la oisam mishkafayim shemasim b'toicha ayin atzmai. Woman who has glasses that you put on the eye itself, contact lens. Yesh la stapik ben. Im heim refuim uvam mamayim misvivam l'toicha ayin. Is it considered loose? Beinam chaytzitzin. Oishema mudakim heim. Maybe it's tight. Ad shamayim nimnam alavi l'toicha ayin, that the water can't get in. He says v'chein yesh la hachmir shbi machmir la'asiram kaidem tefillah. Woman should take out her contacts before. You'll ask, we know that it's only chatzitza if it's either on the majority of your body, rubai, or if it's on the minority of your body and you're makbid. Makbid means you don't always leave it in, you take it out. So Rav O'Connor says, people are makbid about their contact lenses. People do not wear contact lenses at night. It's not healthy to wear contacts at night. It could ruin the cornea.
30 days.
What?
Now they have 30-day contacts.
Yeah, but you still
okay.
No,
30 days.
Okay, so that might be more lenient. But a regular context that you take out at night, he says, That's even though something that's only on a small part of your body and you leave in is not a chatzitza. We could say this is something you're makbid on, since you take it out every night. So it doesn't scratch the cornea. What if a woman forgot to take out her contact lenses and she went to the mikveh? Does she have to go to the mikveh again?
No.
Sarchian. Rabbi, say have a wonderful.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.